Welcome to Face the Ace. I'm Ace, and I am here to talk about Anakin Solo. This is a character that has a lot of controversy in the Star Wars Legends universe. Anakin Solo was the youngest child of Han Solo and Leia Organa, and a key figure in Star Wars Legends. With immense force potential, a deep sense of morality, and a legacy tied directly to his infamous grandfather, Anakin Skywalker. He was poised to be one of the most significant characters of his generation, yet his journey was cut tragically short. In this deep dive, we'll explore Anakin Solo's history, starting with his creation and early development, his pivotal role in the New Jedi Order, and the fan reception to his controversial death. Along the way, we'll also analyze the baffling decision to name a Star Destroyer after him, a move that showed the missed opportunities and awkward choices surrounding his legacy. Chapter 1: Origins and Creation. Anakin Solo was introduced in Timothy Zahn's The Last Command as the third child of Han Solo and Leia Organa. Though he only appears briefly as a newborn, the groundwork for his character was laid. Author Kevin J. Anderson expanded upon Anakin's early life in the Jedi Academy trilogy in 1994, where he was portrayed as an exceptionally force-sensitive toddler with an innate connection to technology and the galaxy around him. From his conception, the character's name carried immense symbolic weight. Leia's decision to name him after her father, Anakin Skywalker, was a point of emotional conflict in the story. Leia hoped to redeem the name Anakin and transform it into a legacy of light rather than darkness. However, Han Solo and even some of Leia's close allies were initially wary, fearing that the child might inherit Vader's dark tendencies. This tension mirrored Anakin's eventual internal struggles as he grew older. It also mirrored what Disney Star Wars did with the Kylo Ren character. Interestingly, behind the scenes, the decision to name him Anakin had broader implications for the Star Wars franchise. George Lucas reportedly approved the name as part of the early efforts to align the expanding Legends material with the overarching themes of the prequel trilogy, which was in development at the time. This decision would later backfire when Lucasfilm grew concerned about the confusion between Anakin Solo and Anakin Skywalker, leading to one of the most controversial story choices in Star Wars Legends, Anakin Solo's untimely death. But first, let's head to Chapter 2, Youth and Jedi Training. Anakin's formative years were heavily explored in the Young Jedi Knight series from 1995 to 1998 and other associated works. As the youngest of the Solo children, Anakin often lived in the shadow of his older siblings, Jacen and Jaina. However, he quickly distinguished himself through his intellect, bravery, and unique perspective on the Force. From an early age, Anakin exhibited traits that marked him as special. He had a natural aptitude for machines and engineering, much like his grandfather, Anakin Skywalker, but without the arrogance or impatience that defined young Anakin Skywalker. This connection to technology became a recurring theme in his story, showcasing his ability to merge traditional Jedi skills with innovative thinking. At Luke Skywalker's Jedi Academy on Yavin 4, Anakin excelled in his training. While other students relied on established methods, Anakin constantly questioned the Jedi Order's teachings, searching for a deeper understanding of the Force. He even began to develop a personal philosophy that the Force was a unified entity rather than a dichotomy of light and dark. This belief, while not fully embraced by the Order, hinted at the potential for Anakin to become a revolutionary figure in the Jedi's evolution. Chapter 3, The Yuzong Von War and Anakin's Heroics. The New Jedi Order series that ran from 1999 to 2003 brought the galaxy face to face with a threat unlike anything it had encountered before, the Yuzong Von. This extragalactic species waged a brutal war, seeking to terraform the galaxy and destroy the Jedi Order. For Anakin, this conflict became the defining chapter of his whole life. The Yuzong Von were a mysterious extragalactic species that arrived in the Star Wars galaxy from beyond the known universe. They were unlike any other enemy the galaxy had faced before. Their most distinctive feature was their complete rejection of technology in favor of organic, bioengineered weaponry. The Vong worshipped pain and physical suffering, which influenced their entire way of life, including their brutal war tactics. The war itself was sparked by the Yuzong Von's desire to conquer the galaxy and use its resources to expand their own empire. However, their motivations were more complex than mere conquest. The Vong were also seeking to escape the death of their own homeworld, which had been ravaged by ecological collapse. Their gods had decreed that the galaxy must be conquered to restore balance to their species. This belief in their divine right to invade fueled much of the conflict's intensity. The war was fought on multiple fronts, as the Vong systematically invaded key planets in the New Republic, eventually leading to the destruction of Coruscant, the former capital of the New Republic, in a shocking moment that reshaped galactic politics. They were ruthless and used methods that were not just military in nature, but also biological, like using living creatures and organic weapons to destroy the galaxy's infrastructure. Anakin Solo emerged as a natural leader during the war, undertaking daring missions and showing a remarkable ability to adapt to the Vong's unique biotechnical weaponry. In Edge of Victory Conquest, Anakin rescued his friend Tarihi Vela from Vong captivity, cementing their bond and cementing his role as one of the most resourceful Jedi of his generation. Anakin's innovations, such as integrating a lambent crystal into his lightsaber to detect the Vong in combat, demonstrated his ingenuity and growth. Chapter 4: Chewbacca's Sacrifice and Anakin's Death. Chewbacca's death in Vector Prime in 1999 is one of the most shocking moments in Star Wars Legends history. The Wookiee hero sacrifices himself on the doomed planet of Cernpidal, ensuring that the Millennium Falcon escapes while a massive moon crashes into the surface. What makes this sacrifice especially emotional is that Chewbacca dies, saving Anakin Solo, Han and Leia's youngest son, solidifying the boy's importance to both the family and the galaxy at large. This moment was intended to symbolize the high stakes of the Yuzong Vong's invasion, a new kind of Star Wars villain capable of inflicting permanent, devastating losses. For Anakin, the event becomes a defining trauma, one that shapes his growth as a Jedi and a person. However, the narrative choice to kill Anakin, only a few books later, in Star by Star in 2001, raises significant questions about the purpose of Chewbacca's sacrifice. From a storytelling perspective, Chewbacca's death loses much of its meaning when the person he died to protect doesn't live long enough to fulfill his potential. If Anakin Solo had survived and gone on to lead the next generation of Jedi, Chewbacca's sacrifice would have gained additional weight as the pivotal moment that ensured the galaxy's future. Instead, Anakin's death creates a sense of narrative futility, making Chewbacca's loss feel less like a bold narrative risk and more like wasted opportunity. Many fans view this sequence of events as emblematic of the new Jedi Order series, penchant for shock value over character development. Chewbacca's death was a landmark moment, but its emotional impact was undermined by the decision to kill Anakin so soon afterward. It's a decision that raises the uncomfortable question: was this sacrifice truly necessary, or was it simply a way to generate short-term drama? Between Vector Prime and Star by Star, Anakin Solo embarks on a series of missions that further develop his character and explore his potential as a Jedi. Despite being racked with guilt over Chewbacca's death, particularly due to his decision to prioritize completing the mission over delaying to save more civilians, Anakin channels his grief into action, becoming a leader among his peers. In Agents of Chaos, Hero's Trial, and Agents of Chaos, Jedi Eclipse, Anakin works alongside his father Han Solo as they both process their respective guilt and grief over losing Chewbacca. These stories are notable for their exploration of Anakin and Han's strained relationship, with Han initially blaming Anakin for Chewbacca's death. Over time, the two reconcile, and Anakin's maturity and strength begin to shine through. This arc highlights Anakin's unique combination of youthful determination and introspection, setting him apart from his siblings. In Edge of Victory Conquest and Edge of Victory Rebirth, Anakin takes on missions that showcase his leadership and growing understanding of the Force. His rescue of Tari Vila from the Yuzong Von in Conquest deepens their bond, leading to one of the most touching relationships in Legends. Anakin's willingness to defy orders to save Tari and his creativity in blending traditional Jedi teachings with unconventional tactics demonstrate his potential as a Jedi leader. Additionally, these books highlight Anakin's internal struggles with his namesake. The shadow of Darth Vader looms large, and Anakin's determination to prove that he can honor his name without succumbing to the same darkness becomes a central theme. It's in these moments that we see the character's depth, a young Jedi caught between the weight of legacy and the promise of the future. By the time we reach Star by Star, Anakin Solo has grown into a formidable leader, tasked with leading a strike team of young Jedi to destroy the Yuzong Vong's Queen's cloning facility. Anakin shows both tactical brilliance and selflessness. His ultimate sacrifice to ensure the team's success cements his heroism, but it also leaves fans questioning the larger narrative strategy. Anakin's death is undeniably powerful. It devastates his siblings, Jacen and Jaina, and serves as a turning point for the entire Solo family. Yet the decision to kill him so soon after Chewbacca's sacrifice robs both deaths of their full potential impact. Anakin was positioned as the natural heir to Luke Skywalker's legacy, a Jedi who could bridge the gap between the old and the new. His death cut short a story arc that many fans hoped would redefine the future of Star Wars storytelling. From a critical perspective, Chewbacca's sacrifice combined with Anakin's death creates an unbalanced narrative. While both deaths are impactful individually, their proximity in the timeline undermines their significance. If Anakin had lived longer, perhaps even to the end of the New Jedi Order, Chewbacca's sacrifice would have felt more purposeful. The rapid loss of two beloved characters also highlights a broader issue in the New Jedi Order: its reliance on tragedy to create stakes. While this approach certainly raised the tension, it often came at the cost of long-term character development. Chewbacca and Anakin deserve better, not just because of their popularity, but because of the rich storytelling potential they represented. Chapter 5, The Star Destroyer Anakin Solo, and a cringeworthy legacy. After Anakin Solo's tragic death in Star by Star, the Legends continuity sought to honor his legacy with the creation of a ship bearing his name, the Anakin Solo, an Imperial second-class Star Destroyer. However, the decision to name such a symbol of war after a fallen Jedi with so much untapped potential drew significant criticism, as it seemed to contradict the ideals Anakin had fought and died for. The Anakin Solo Star Destroyer was initially intended to commemorate Anakin's heroism, but the choice of a warship as his namesake was widely criticized by fans, and even within the narrative itself. Anakin was a young Jedi whose life embodied hope, selflessness, and the fight against tyranny. To associate his memory with a tool of destruction felt not only ironic, but also not aligning with his character. The naming of the ship foreshadowed the darker twist in the Solo's family future, especially as the vessel would become tied to Jacen Solo's fall to the dark side. Years after Anakin's death, his older brother Jacen Solo began to spiral into darkness, believing that only through absolute power could he bring peace to the galaxy. This transformation culminated in Jacen taking on the mantle Darth Caedus, a Sith Lord whose vision of order required ruthless control. As a key symbol of his authority, Jacen claimed the Anakin Solo as his flagship during his reign. Under Jacen's command, the Star Destroyer became a vessel of oppression, used to enforce the Galactic Alliance's increasingly authoritarian policies. This ironic twist, turning a ship named for a fallen Jedi hero into a weapon of tyranny. This did not go unnoticed by fans or characters within the Legacy of Force series. This was all in. One particularly chilling moment occurs in Legacy of Force, Inferno, when Jacen uses the Anakin Solo in an orbital bombardment against Kashyyyk, Chewbacca's homeworld. This act of devastation highlights how far Jacen has fallen as he targets the Wookiee species, a race his family had long considered allies. The ship becomes a tool not of Anakin's legacy, but of Jacen's warped vision, a grim reminder of the price of unchecked power. The Anakin Solo was more than just a warship. It became a stage for deeply personal confrontations within the Solo and Skywalker families. In Legacy of Force Fury, Jaina Solo infiltrates the Anakin Solo to rescue Tenel Ka and Alana, Jacen's secret family. This act of defiance symbolizes Jaina's commitment to stopping her brother's descent, even as the ship itself looms as a dark testament to what their family have lost. Jaina's eventual duel with Jacen, culminating in his death in Legacy of Force Invincible, is informed by the ship's dark legacy. The Anakin Solo had become a symbol not of family pride, but of betrayal and tragedy. Its presence in the series underscores the deep fractures within the Solo family and the galaxy at large. Following Jacen's death, the Anakin Solo continues to serve the Galactic Alliance. However, its association with Jacen's reign leaves a tarnished legacy. The ship is eventually demolished. Its name and role in galactic history is a bitter reminder of how far the Solo family had fallen from their ideals. The Anakin Solo story encapsulates one of the recurring themes of Star Wars, the clash between intention and outcome. What was meant to honor a heroic legacy instead became a symbol of tyranny, forcing the galaxy and fans to grapple with the complexities of legacy and the burden of carrying great names. Now, back to a critical standpoint, the Anakin Solo Star Destroyer represents one of the more controversial decisions in Legends. By naming a ship of war after a character who embodied the Jedi selfless ideals, the narrative invites criticism from misunderstanding Anakin Solo's legacy. Fans question whether this choice was meant as a intentional irony or simply a misstep by the authors. The ship's role under Jacen Solo, particularly during acts like the assault on Kashyyyk, underscores the dangers of conflating honor with power. The Anakin Solo became a tool for oppression, undermining the very values Anakin had died defending. For many readers, this misuse of his name and memory felt like a betrayal, further complicating the emotional impact of his death. The Anakin Solo Star Destroyer is a tragic footnote in the larger story of the Solo family. It serves as a stark contrast to Anakin's actual legacy, which should have been one of hope, bravery, and selflessness. Instead, the ship became a symbol of his brother's fall to darkness and the galaxy's descent into chaos. Ultimately, the Anakin Solo serves as a cautionary tale about the perils of legacy. It forces us to confront the uncomfortable truth that even the most noble intentions can be warped when power and symbolism are misused. In a galaxy defined by its heroes, the Anakin Solo reminds us that honoring the past requires more than just a grand gesture. It requires staying true to the values of those heroes stood for. Chapter 6: Fan Reception and Missed Potential. Anakin Solo's death sparked intense debate amongst fans and authors alike. While some viewed it as a necessary sacrifice to escalate the stakes of the Yuzong Von War, many believed it was a short-sighted decision driven by external factors, such as the fear of confusing it with Anakin Skywalker. Fans and critics have since argued that Anakin Solo's legacy was full of unrealized potential. His unique perspective on the Force, his leadership abilities, and his innovative approach to the Jedi teachings positioned him as a natural successor to Luke Skywalker. Instead, his death paved the way for Jacen Solo's transformation into Darth Caedus, a storyline that, while compelling, felt like a rehash of Anakin Skywalker's fall to the dark side. Chapter 7: Anakin Solo vs. Disney's sequel trilogy, a new era of storytelling. When Disney acquired Star Wars and reset the canon in 2014, they aimed to create a fresh narrative that could appeal to a broad, modern audience. This decision meant leaving behind Legends characters like Anakin Solo, whose stories, while beloved by many, were deeply rooted in a dense and sometimes inconsistent continuity. The sequel trilogy, starting with The Force Awakens in 2015, reimagined the next generation of the Skywalker Solo lineage, making bold choices to tell a story that was both familiar and new. While Anakin Solo's arc in Legends was compelling, Disney sequels offered significant improvements in terms of accessibility, thematic clarity, and character dynamics, making the trilogy more impactful for mainstream audiences. One of the sequel trilogy's most praised elements is its clear central protagonist, Rey, a scavenger from Jakku who rises to become the last Jedi. Unlike Anakin Solo, whose story was interwoven with those of his siblings, Jacen and Jaina, Rey takes center stage as the primary hero. This focus allows for a more cohesive and streamlined narrative. Rey's journey mirrors some of Anakin Solo's struggles, such as discovering her identity, grappling with legacy, and redefining what it means to be a Jedi. However, where Anakin Solo's story is cut short before he can truly reach his potential, Rey's arc offers a full hero's journey, culminating in a redemption of the Skywalker name in The Rise of Skywalker. Her triumph symbolizes hope and renewal, themes that resonate universally. Like how in Legends, Leia was trying to use the Anakin name for a more positive future, and they kind of did that with Rey using the Skywalker name for a positive future for that as well. While Anakin Solo carried the name of his infamous grandfather, Anakin Skywalker, Ben Solo, later would be known as Kylo Ren, takes the concept of legacy to new heights. Where Anakin Solo sought to distance himself from Darth Vader's shadow, Ben Solo embraces it, idolizing Vader's power while rejecting his ultimate redemption. This choice allows the sequel to dive deeper into the psychological territory. Kylo Ren's eternal conflict, torn between the dark side and his lingering connection to the light, creates one of the most compelling villains in Star Wars. His dynamic with Rey, particularly their Force dyad connection, adds layers of complexity that were absent in Legends. Anakin Solo's story, by contrast, felt constrained by the need to upload his heroic image, leaving less room for moral ambiguity. Anakin Solo's death in Star by Star is a powerful moment in Legends, representing the loss of youthful optimism and the high cost of war. However, his death also marked the end of his story, leaving little opportunity to explore the broader consequences of his legacy. In the sequel trilogy, Ben Solo's arc offers a different take on sacrifice. His redemption in Rise of Skywalker is a culmination of his internal struggles and his bond with Rey. By choosing to save Rey at the cost of his own life, Ben mirrors Vader's final act in Return of the Jedi, but with a more intimate and personal resonance. This redemptive arc is central to the trilogy's themes of forgiveness and enduring power of love. One of the key strengths of Disney's sequels is their accessibility to new audiences. While Legends relied heavily on prior knowledge of the extended universe, the sequels were designed to welcome viewers who might be experiencing Star Wars for the first time. Rey's origin as an outsider, with no apparent connection to the Skywalker lineage until later revelations, allowed her to serve as a reliable entry point for audiences. In contrast, Anakin Solo's story was deeply rooted in Legends lore, requiring familiarity with dozens of books and characters. While this death was rewarding for dedicated fans, it often alienated casual readers. The sequel streamlined storytelling and diverse cast, including prominent roles for Finn and Poe, ensured that Star Wars could resonate with a global audience in a way Legends struggled to achieve. One of the more controversial aspects of Anakin Solo's legacy in Legends was the decision to name a Star Destroyer after him, a choice that felt awkward and contradictory. The Anakin Solo used by his brother Jason during his dark reign as Darth Caedus became a symbol of oppression rather than heroism. This ironic twist undermined the sacrifice Anakin made and left fans questioning the meaning of his legacy. The sequel trilogy avoids such missteps by focusing on more emotionally resonant symbols, such as the Millennium Falcon. By returning to the Falcon as a central narrative element, the sequels maintain a connection to the series' core themes of hopes and adventure. This decision underscores the importance of preserving legacy through actions and ideals rather than through hollow tributes like warships. Anakin Solo's story, while rich in potential, often felt limited by the weight of Legends continuity. His role as the next Skywalker was split between him and his siblings, diluting his impact. By focusing on Rey as a singular protagonist and Kylo Ren as a complex antagonist, the sequels offer a more concentrated and emotionally resonant narrative. While Legends fans will always hold characters like Anakin Solo close to their hearts, the sequel trilogy charted a bold new course for Star Wars. By reimagining the next generation, Disney created a story that could resonate with a wider audience, while still honoring the core themes of redemption, hope, and family. What do you think, though? Did the sequels succeed in redefining the Skywalker legacy, or do you prefer the depth of Anakin Solo's story and the rest of his family? Let us know in the comments. Anakin Solo's untimely death in Star Wars remains one of the most debated moments in Star Wars Legends history. But what if things have gone differently? What if Anakin Solo had lived to fulfill the immense potential hinted at throughout his story? This chapter speculates on what his survival could have meant, both in Legends continuity and the Disney-era Star Wars canon. So this is Chapter 8, What if Anakin Solo never died? Had Anakin Solo survived his mission in Star by Star, he likely would have emerged as a central figure in the ongoing Yuzong Von War and beyond. His unique relationship with the Force, marked by a harmonious balance in traditional Jedi philosophy and intuitive, unorthodox methods, positioned him as the Jedi Order's brightest hope. One of the most interesting possibilities is that Anakin could have been the Jedi to ultimately bridge the generational divide between Luke Skywalker's old guard and the younger generation of Jedi Knights. Where Jason grappled with moral parallels and Jaina wrestled with her militaristic tendencies, Anakin combined leadership, action, and a clear moral compass. His survival could have offered the Jedi a leader who was both decisive and compassionate, a figurehead around whom the galaxy could unite. Given his charisma and battlefield prowess, Anakin could have spearheaded the final assault against the Yuzong Von, bringing a more personal and heroic resolution to the New Jedi Order series. Perhaps he would have discovered a way to defeat the Yuzong Von without staggering losses the galaxy endured. Anakin's story could have shifted the narrative toward hope and rebuilding, in stark contrast to the darker arcs that dominated Legends post Star by Star. In the Dark Nest trilogy and the Legacy of Forces series, Anakin's presence would have likely have altered the Solo siblings' dynamics entirely. Without Anakin's death as a catalyst, Jason's descent into darkness as Darth Caedus might have been avoided. Anakin's bond with Jason could have offered a counterbalance to the philosophical drift that have led Jason to embrace the Sith. Meanwhile, Jaina's role as the Sword of the Jedi could have been enriched by her younger brother's support, creating a narrative where the Solo siblings work together to secure the galaxy's future. An older Anakin Solo might have taken a leading role in the reforming Jedi Order, advocating for a more flexible approach to the Force, bridging the rigid ways of the old Jedi with the practical needs of a war-torn galaxy. He could have become a mentor figure to the new Jedi, fulfilling the potential Luke Skywalker saw in him. This is a fun one. If Anakin Solo were introduced into the Disney-era Star Wars timeline, his story could have taken on an entirely new dimension. The sequel trilogy introduced the idea of legacy as both a burden and an inspiration, a theme Anakin could have uniquely embodied. In the Disney canon, Anakin Solo might take on the mantle of being the true heir to Anakin Skywalker's name, grappling with the duality of his namesake's legacy as both a hero and a Sith. This could position him as a character torn between the past and the future, offering a compelling foil to Kylo Ren's obsession with Darth Vader. Imagine a dynamic where Anakin Solo represents the light side potential of the Skywalker legacy, while Kylo embodies its darkest impulses. A true clash of ideologies within the family. Anakin's connection to the Force could also serve as a point of evolution in the Disney canon's exploration of the Force lore. In Legends, Anakin was deeply attuned to the Force in ways that hinted at new possibilities for Jedi philosophy. In the Disney timeline, he can expand upon the concepts like the Dyad introduced in The Rise of Skywalker, exploring how a Jedi's connection to others can shape their destiny. Additionally, Anakin could take on a mentor role in Disney's expanding universe. Imagine him guiding Rey or Finn in their journey to rebuild the Jedi Order, offering wisdom tempered by his experiences. His presence could deepen the thematic richness of the sequel trilogy, emphasizing balance, redemption, and legacy as core tenets of the Star Wars saga. In terms of cinematic storytelling, Anakin Solo could provide the emotional depth and moral clarity that many felt was missing from the sequel trilogy's resolution. His survival and evolution could make the Star Wars universe feel less fragmented, uniting the Skywalker saga's themes into a more cohesive and hopeful narrative. At its core, Anakin Solo's survival represents a missed opportunity to explore the themes of hope, resilience, and leadership. Whether in Legends or canon, his story could have provided a powerful example of how individuals can overcome the weight of legacy and forge their own path. In Legends, Anakin's survival could have averted the darkness that engulfed the galaxy after his death, reshaping the Star Wars narrative into one of renewal rather than tragedy. In the Disney canon, he could have been the ideal counterpoint to Kylo Ren, showing that even amidst the darkness, the light can prevail when guided by compassion and courage. In conclusion, Anakin Solo remains one of the most intriguing what-ifs in Star Wars history. His story was one of promise and brilliance, cut short by decisions that many fans still view as a misstep. Whether it was his death, the cringeworthy naming of a Star Destroyer after him, or the legacy of pain his loss left on his family, Anakin's arc is a testament to both the heights and the flaws of Legend storytelling. What do you think about Anakin Solo? Was his death a necessary sacrifice, or a wasted opportunity to build a new kind of hero in the galaxy? Let us know in the comments, and may the Force be with you.